Firstly, how's the whole kind of settling in process been, joining on and off the pitch?
Yeah, great. The boys have been brilliant. Welcome me in. It's obviously been quite fast moving in terms of kind of travelling up to Crewe, training, game again straight away. So I think if you have a clear week, you can get to know the lads a little bit better. But spent a bit of time together in the hotel before the Crewe game, and yeah, just looking forward to spending more time with the team and getting to know everyone individually. But so far everyone's been brilliant.
And what's your impression of the quality on the pitch and the games you've been involved in?
Very, very good. It's quite clear to see the way that the gaffer wants to play. I think any successful teams need to have different strings to the bow, and we certainly have that. We can play, we can go direct. There's rotation, there's movement. We can go in behind. So, it's got all the ingredients for a successful season, but we just need to go out there now and put in the work.
And what's been the big selling point in getting you here, other than the joy of Ryan Tuffer's owner?
It was just numerous things really. I just had several boxes that needed to be ticked personally for me. In all honesty, it was needed to be a southern club. It needed to be an ambitious club, and yeah, for me, both those boxes were ticked, and they were the two most important for me personally. And then obviously you start kind of going through the other options that you have, and I just felt like, when I signed, I said that Swindon's a proper club, and then I heard Taft's interview afterwards, and he also said the same thing. It's just a proper football club. So for me, I think some people might have been surprised at the choice with other clubs that I had, but for me it was quite an easy decision. Once I'd met the manager and I also met with the owner, there was no change in my mind. They're both great guys, and they're both very tunnel visioned in where we want to go to. So all three of us were on the same page, and then there was not really much swaying that needed to happen, and I got it over the line quite quickly because I didn't have really much desire to join any other football club.
We'll come on to a little bit of Wrexham, but what's Wrexham done for you in purely a footballing sense to help develop your game, just go progressing through the levels as quickly as the team do?
Yeah, of course. I think you're always going to improve, aren't you? You're playing, you're competing at a competitive level. Even in the National League, we were pushed by Notts County. We didn't have a National League side, so surrounded by good players, and then better players have joined throughout the years. So you're improving, and the speed of the game's evolving, and we're trying to, we were just confident and aggressive in our manner week in, week out, and that was not just on a Saturday, that was on the training pitch. So I think, subsequently you do improve, maybe without even realising. But yeah, of course, better players are going to improve you. The speed of play is going to pick up, the speed of thought, everything kind of improves as you go. So yeah, I feel like that's happened, but if you're not improving, you're probably not working right. So.
What's it like? I know it's only been a week to sort of step out of the. I don't know if it's like a bit of a bubble with everything else that comes with Wrexham. Does it feel strange to be sort of out of that? Is it quite sort of draining in some ways? I don't know.
No, it's not.
What is it? What is it kind of like inside? How different was it from your other football experiences?
What is it like coming here?
No. What was sort of Wrexham like in terms of all the the kind of documentary and everything that's around?
No, Wrexham was fantastic. I had a wonderful 3.5 years there, full of success. Also, we didn't win everything. We lost the playoff final, we lost the FA Trophy final. But I think you learn from those experiences, and it brings you together. And we used that to kick on the following seasons. We had good cup runs, we had good league form, there's competition within the squad, and we had, the fans got right behind us. You're not going to win every week. You're going to have good days and bad days, but the fans bought into the football club. The football club bought into the community, and it was just, it was quite an enjoyable but a powerful experience, to be honest. And I've seen it before when towns get behind the football clubs. I've seen it at Lincoln. The Cowleys are quite good at connecting the dots there. How well it works for the team, and we've got a fantastic fan base here, and I think everyone's plan here is to start seeing a full house back at Swindon Town Football Club. And I know it's not always been rosy here. I have looked into the history and what the fans have been through and what the club's been through, but you've got to start somewhere. I think now's a good time to start.
And just lastly on the Wrexham thing, did you enjoy some of the sort of the more celebrity aspect and the opportunity to perhaps get experiences that you wouldn't have been able to at another club?
No, of course, you always, it's always a pleasure to be around Rob and Ryan. They're amazing people. Firstly, off the pitch, you can see them already supporting Swindon Town, and they're on social media. Which is obviously great for the football club and their exposure, but they're only doing it because of them as people. They don't get anything out of that. There's no financial gain. There's no it doesn't give them exposure. It's just they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Obviously, it's partly because I'm here, but because I'm here, they're now probably Swindon fans. So it's just part and parcel. We got used to it over time. We got used to it over the course of a few years. You start to meet different faces, and anyone that we met through the owners were always, a pleasure to be around.
Lovely, good luck here. Thanks.
Cheers.
You mentioned meeting the owner here. What about him, having worked under two very good owners at Wrexham? What kind of spoke to you about him and his vision for Swindon?
I met Clem for dinner because the gaffer called me after speaking to Ryan. I think Ryan made him aware that I wanted to get back down south, and I think the gaffer's words were, "We weren't shopping in that window, so are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah, give him a call." So he called me, and we had a good long chat, and I felt his energy, which was one of the main things, to be honest. And then he recommended that I met the owner to get a feel for him and his direction, and so I did. We went for dinner, and he was just so excited about Swindon Town Football Club. He spoke about where he wants to take this football club. He spoke about there's been some hard times, but there's also going to be some good times, and he wants me to be a part of that. And he had a real passion. He had a real passion in the way he spoke to me about what he wants to achieve. And I think, looking from the outside in, you can see, there's been, I don't know how many signings now, 14, 15 signings. He's brought in Ian Holloway, a very experienced manager, knows football inside out. He's a real football man. And not everyone's always going to get everything right, but I think Clem's trying to get everything right, and he's trying to put this club in a better position than what it was 2-3 years ago, and he's trying to project this club forward, and he's given us all the tools to be able to do that. So it's over to us and the management team and the playing staff who are all here to take those tools and try and kick on.
Maybe you didn't play the most football at Wrexham to start the season, but your minutes per goal so far is pretty good. So how are you?
What's that, sorry?
The minutes per goal at the moment is pretty good, even if you maybe weren't playing loads of football at the start of this season at Wrexham. So how are you feeling physically in terms of your own game at the moment?
Yeah, no, I didn't feature in the league this season, unfortunately, but I'm probably not as fit as what I was arriving here as what I was in pre-season, to be totally honest. Yeah, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's football. We had a huge squad there that the club invested heavily, and absolutely can't begrudge it. I walked in at Wrexham Football Club one night on a Monday night and started the next day without meeting anyone. So it's a fast moving football club, and yeah, of course I've got some fitness to catch up on. I think, you know, the training schedule slows down when the league starts, so I think with that you've got to do your own work, you know, but it's still hard to replicate match fitness. So, but we're a couple of games in now, and I think, you know, 1 or 2 more games, I'll be up to full speed.
Was it nice to get your first goal out of the way pretty quickly on Tuesday night?
It's always nice. It's always nice to score goals, and that was an absolute screamer.
Almost as good as Will Wright. Thank you very much.
So, mate.